Ahead on Bleav in Steelers, we get the NFL Madden cover athlete today, Ike, and also Damar Hamlin back on the field for the Buffalo Bills. Good morning and welcome in. I'm Mark Bergin, joined as always by my guy, two-time Super Bowl champion, 12-year veteran of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and a Pittsburgh Steelers scout, number 24, Ike Taylor. IT, good morning. I hope you are well. See, you're back from South Bend, Indiana. You're visiting Notre Dame. We'll talk about that on today's show as well. It's good to see your face.
It's good to see your face. Mark, I haven't seen you in a while. This past couple of weeks been very busy, but very busy in a good way. But yeah, let's get to talking football, especially about the Pittsburgh Steelers whenever you're ready.
All right, Ike, the dust has settled so far. What's been a great offseason for the Steelers. Omar Khan has been very aggressive. I call it the wrath of Khan. You call it the con artist. But what I want to talk about today is what, in your opinion, has been the Steelers' best offseason move. I'll share mine afterwards, but the floor is yours, Ike Taylor.
I would probably have to go with Allen Robinson. Getting a guy like Allen coming from the LA Rams, you need a veteran guy, especially that stature. What I mean, 6'4", 230, who's been around, went to Penn State, understand what the weather is like, understand some kind of history when you want to talk about being a Pittsburgh Steeler. A grown-up in the building, in that wide receiver room. A no-nonsense guy, a guy who can go from inside to out. What I mean by that, from the X to Y to the Z position. A guy who don't mind getting dirty in that slot because he's a grown man. But I think that will help Kenny well. I think that will help Deontay well. I think it will open the offense up for Kenny Pickett as well, along with his new tight ends between Darnell and Pat. So for me, that offseason move, collecting Allen Robinson was a move for a veteran presence in that wide receiver room, and a guy who can get low down and dirty whenever you need to, and knows what it is to play in cold weather. But I think for me, more having a George Pickens, a young George Pickens, his second year, going on his second year, having a guy like Allen Robinson who's been around the league, who's super savvy. It's going to be big for that wide receiver room. Not only he's going to play, but he also could be coach on the field as well.
Yeah, and his contract situation as well, Ike, where the Steelers aren't paying most of the bill and it's a prove-it season. The Steelers could try to renegotiate after the year. Very savvy by Omar Khan. And you mentioned getting a veteran in the room. I'm excited to see what Allen Robinson could do with more consistent quarterback play. Now, when Robinson was with the Jags, they cycled in and out of quarterbacks. Now, he had really one good year with Trubisky in which the Bears went on a playoff run. Trubisky was back and forth, and that's part of the reason why Trubisky goes to the Bills and now is with the Steelers. If it was consistent there, he would still be the starter in Chicago. So I'm excited to see what Robinson can do. And you say, well, why didn't it work out with the Rams? Matt Stafford wasn't healthy last season for LA in the Rams title defense and trying to defend your Super Bowl title. They didn't even make the playoffs. So I'm excited to see what he can do when there are other talented receivers around him, and that he's not going to get bracketed because you have Deontay Johnson, you have George Pickens, you have a whole plethora of tight ends. So I can't wait to see what he can do. I can't wait to see how that also challenges Calvin Austin III to up his game, because if you're not up to snuff, I mean, those are three really good receivers that have played at a high level in this league, in Allen Robinson, Deontay Johnson, and George Pickens. And so to get on the field, Calvin Austin III is going to have to prove himself as well. I think this is a very good pick, Ike, in Allen Robinson.
Yeah, he's a tone setter. You know, when you see him in person, it's like he looks like a tight end. I mean, 6'4", 230 mark, and that was very impressive when I saw him. I said, "Dang, AR, I didn't know. You know, you were 6'4", 225, 230, bro. Like, man, it's gonna be hell. Somebody who trying to guard you, or you blocking somebody, one of the two." So that's how I looked at it when I saw him. And you know, if you just, other than Deontay and Calvin, Deontay, if you ask most of the corners in the NFL, they say he might be one of the savviest route runners in the NFL, so he gonna stay getting open. George Pickens, he's just going to be open by default because that's what God asked him to do. Be an alien at a wide receiver, get open whenever you want to. But when you have a Darnell, when you have a Pat Fairmouth, and you get another power forward, so you got 3 power forwards if you want to look at it between the 2 tight ends, Pat and Darnell and Allen Robinson. So by the end of the day, pretty much everybody can get open whenever they want to. So that's exactly how I look at AR when it comes down to that position. And how unique it's going to be interesting to see what Matt Canada do because he have a lot of weapons.
I can't wait to see what George Pickens can do as well, Ike, because he's going to be able to learn yet again from Deontay, but also from Allen Robinson. And that George Pickens' success last season came on go routes where go deep, make a play one-on-one. Now you get into the intricacies of, hey, here's how to run a route. Here's how to run this specific route against this specific coverage. He can learn from the other veterans, not just Deontay Johnson, but Allen Robinson's presence should help George Pickens develop as a receiver as well in terms of the intricacies of the position.
Yeah, for me, I just think, I mean, as an OC, when I got them kind of weapons, really, I'm just dictating on what I want to do. I can use every weapon I want to. 2 tight ends. I got a running back. I got 3 receivers. Really, I got 4 if you want to include Calvin Austin III. And to be honest with you, they've been saying, just looking at reports, Calvin Austin III been having a heck of a OTAs for the most part. He's really been doing this thing. So he's getting back to his 4.3 something speed. Whenever he do, that's going to be another weapon. But that's from a front office standpoint, Mark. That's exactly what you want. You don't whine. You just try to get that quarterback as many weapons as possible, and you try to get that OC as many weapons as possible, and let them figure out game to game who they want to attack and when they want to attack them.
Yeah, and if Hakeem Butler can be a bully as well, the XFL standout. So there's yet another option the Steelers have receiver position, and I get giddy looking at his XFL highlights, Ike.
Yeah, Hakeem did his thing. I watched Hakeem a few games. He was doing his thing. Another big rangy power forward. I mean, he's Allen Robinson. Similarity in body types. So when you see that, you like, dang. I mean, Kenny got some weapons, man. Like for me, just sitting back and just looking at it. And now that I'm in the front office, Mark, it's just like, this is exactly what you want to do. You want to get your quarterback as many weapons, or you want to get your OC as many weapons as possible on offense. So I think the tides is turning. I mean, you saw what they did on defense. They got Pat Pete, another veteran guy. So Pat Pete is to the DBs like Allen Robinson to the receivers. You know, just a very savvy veteran cornerback. Since he stepped into the league, all he's been doing is making plays and going to Pro Bowl. So, and then you get two young cornerbacks, and Joey Porter Jr.
Hang on, Ike. You're stealing some of my thunder here. Hang on. Please hold this thought.
My bad.
We do need to take a quick break because I do want to get to my best move really quickly. Okay. We got to tell the listeners and viewers about BetOnline.ag. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ike, but if you want to place a bet on any of the sports action, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals, over-unders for win totals, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it, Ike.
24/7, 365, regardless on what sport it is. I just saw the merge of PGA and LIV merge with the golfing, so y'all go ahead and put that in there too. So whenever y'all just looking forward to placing any bet, man, make sure y'all go to BetOnline.ag.
Okay, so use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV. You can see that on your screen right now. You'll receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts. All right, Ike, we'll continue this conversation. I apologize. But the defensive side of the ball with the DBs, Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr. with the 32nd pick. My pick is similar to that. Please finish your thought. I'm sorry to interrupt you there. But no, I kind of cheated for my best offseason move. So I'm sorry. The floor is yours again, Ike.
No, we had to pay some bills, you know. So when we got to pay the bills, we got to BetOnline.ag. That's exactly what we got to do. But yeah, just on the flip side, on the defensive side, you know, we were just talking about Pat Peterson. and his veteran savvy leadership and what he brings to the table, especially with a young secondary and Joey Porter Jr. So we shall see. And it's been some more good news coming out of camp. You know, I think Coach T or the team had nicknamed the two corners avatars. I mean, when you 6'2", 6'3", and you got a wingspan or whatever, you know, that's what you love to see, especially going in this AFC North division. When you go right to the left of you from Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, you know Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, you know them some pretty big humans, some savvy, some real good. That might be the best trio so far up to date. And you need a secondary who can run, who tall enough, and that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers have. You know, when you're drafting for your division because you got to play guys twice in that division. So yeah, on the flip side, Pat Pete gonna be a huge presence in that room and on the field.
Yeah, I look at what the Ravens did as well in signing OBJ, Nelson Aguilar in the draft, Zay
Right,
Flowers, their first round pick. They got a receiver. So
right,
matching up against Baltimore, not just Cincinnati, and then over in Cleveland, Amari Cooper is no slouch either. So how do you
correct.
slow down those star receivers that are in your own division, teams that you're going to face at least twice? And I say that considering you could play these teams potentially in the playoffs as well. It's a great rubber match when you see a division opponent 3 times a season. It's something you have experience with as a player, Ike. Now, I kind of cheated, and this is where Petty Mark comes out a little bit. I love the addition of Broderick Jones, trading up to number 14 in the draft, because you prevent the Jets from selecting him. So there's an old slogan, right? Where the enemy of my enemy is a friend. Bill Belichick and the Patriots did the Steelers a solid in saying, hey, we'll take 17. You can get 14. You can get Kenny
I was
Pickett, a
there.
bodyguard.
I was there live in person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mark, you hit it on the head. Um, when your enemy damn near become your friend, and by the end of the day, man, this is just business, and this is what we're doing. So that swap for a swap was perfect for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots. And when I saw the chess move uh, by Omar Khan, I said, "Oh Lord, have mercy!" Like he 10 steps ahead of me, because this chess move would start out, you know, days in advance. So he was looking at every scenario depending on who was where on that board. And when I saw that chess move, when I saw make that call, I was like, oh my Lord. And then when I saw why he made that call, like, okay, Aaron Rodgers, Jets need an offensive lineman, AFC East, Jets, New England Patriots. No, we're not about to let that happen. Let me go ahead and give Belichick and Kraft and then New England organization the call. And it was like, yeah. I mean, no hezzy from nobody. It was like everybody was on the same page. New England glad that Pittsburgh called them. Pittsburgh glad that New England picked up on the first ring. That's exactly how it went down, Mark.
Well, here's the thing, too. So the Steelers get their first offensive lineman selected in the first or second round since David DeCastro back in
Right.
2012. First bookend since Jermaine Stevens in 1996 for the Steelers in the first round. So you help Kenny Pickett and company. And then, oh, by the way, Broderick Jones gets to play with his college teammates in George Pickens and Agent Zero again, Darnell Washington. Like, how awesome is this going to be? Where it's just like, oh, is this the Georgia Bulldogs? No, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there's going to be that familiarity as well. I could keep going too here, Ike, as well, because had the Steelers selected Joey Porter Jr. at 17, I think everyone would have been cool with it. But then he falls in the draft and you get him at 32. So it's the repercussions and the ripple effects of not just selecting Broderick Jones at 14, but the ripple effect in the better value that you get Joey Porter Jr. with the very first selection in the second round that pick coming over from the Bears for the Chase Claypool trade. So you're bringing in Joey Porter Jr., who's going to have a chip on his shoulder because he probably felt like he was the best corner in this draft. And you get him at 32 instead of with a mid-first round pick. So it's not really just the Broderick Jones selection. It's what happened as a result of all of that as well, Ike.
I mean, the NFL said 32 on the second day, but I mean, 32 is still a first round draft pick, technically. So, I mean, you get exactly your want and your need in 2 picks in the first round, damn near, if you want to look at it that way. That usually don't happen, especially when you don't have a lot of picks, so say. But yeah, O did his thing during the season and it started off with a trade for Chase Claypool, getting that 32nd pick for the Chicago Bears. So that kicked off everything. So just to put things in perspective, I think Peasy, Joey Porter Sr., he said it best: you're getting a pissed off corner, and that's exactly what you want. Him thinking that he was gonna go early, I'm so glad he didn't. He landed exactly where he needed to land, and he got that call sitting at home. And Pittsburgh has always been his home in Wexford, PA, and he ain't going nowhere. So the good thing about it, he grew up around all of this goodness. And what I mean by that, Super Bowls, locker room, ball boy, equipment manager. He was once one of those guys in that locker. And now he has a locker in that locker room being a Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's just a unique story. Mark playing with his dad, watching JP Jr. grow up, and now, I mean, what are the odds? I was in his locker room as a kid. Now I'm in his locker room as a player. So what are the odds somebody can say that? And but we have him, Joey Porter Jr. So there we go.
That Friday night, the Steelers drafted him too. I love how he was just like, yep, we're going to do the news conference tonight. I'm driving to the facility. Usually it's like, oh, well, we'll get you on a plane or we'll wait till the next day. No. Friday night, we're going to TCB, and that's taking care of business, Ike.
Yeah, they ain't nothing but a 30-minute drive. So, I mean, I think he got there in 20. So
yeah.
Yeah, he took that express lane, that toll lane, and he just hit the gas. But man, it's just good. It's just good to have him. The way it unfolded, Mark, and high expectations because you're going into the draft. It's a lot of hype, and it's predictions, and you just look at it like, and you sitting in that room and your name don't get called. It's a long day for them first rounders. It's a long day, Mark. A long day for them first rounders. It's a hell of a week. It's a great experience, but it's a long day for them. And I can only imagine not getting your name called. But from a player's perspective, and we was talking about this at the cigar lounge, I don't want to go in the first round. That's a lot of pressure. Second round me all the way down. Just second round me all the way down. That first round, if you're not going to the organization, a good organization, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. So, and that's how I looked at it. I'm like, he damn near in the first round, but really ain't no pressure if you think about it. So, and I have a son, and I'm just selfishly speaking as a dad. I don't know where he gonna go. I don't know what the good man what's in store for him. But second second round me. If I can do it over with, and I win the fourth, so it won't no expectations for me.
Mm-hmm.
Second round wasn't even a thought on a lot of boards. But I'm just looking at that pressure. You got to be built different to go in that first round. You have to. So I do tip my hat off to all the kids because I felt the pressure, and I'm just sitting in the room. So I can only imagine. I don't think them kids are feeling the pressure. They just going through the moment. They living out their dream. It's a game changing. It's a life changing. When your name do get called and get picked, not only for the NFL draft, but just in general for that first round. But when you go to an organization, either you're gonna second half me in that first round, because after the 18th pick, we talking about playoff teams. So you just gonna be part of the missing piece to the puzzle. That's how I look at it. But from that 1 through 15, if you ain't going to a good organization, it's tough on the mentals. It's tough
Yeah.
on the mentals.
I know it's a quarterback league, but I think there's only a handful of quarterbacks. And if it was an exact science, teams would have a lot greater success in drafting quarterbacks.
Right.
Organizational fit, and I think coaching goes into that. I think personnel to a certain standpoint. Like, my point being, there's only so many Peyton Manning, Joe Burrow, Andrew Luck, John Elway types that the moment they're drafted, it completely flips an organization. By and large, I think prospects, whether they succeed or not, a lot of that's not even in their own individual hands.
Correct. Correct.
That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion, Ike.
No, you're right, Mark. Like, it's a lot of scenarios when you're talking about the top 15 picks. I mean, the organization you gotta look at the coaching staff, you gotta look at the roster, and you can't fault the kid from going that high. Obviously, a team on front office, the GM, they like the kid for a reason. Whether you want to say the kid is good or not, but it's not the kid's fault. So all the kid is trying to do is play football by the end of the day. But just selfishly speaking, 18 me on down. Because I know after 18, we talking about playoff teams. Either they got, bumped out the playoffs real early, or they barely squeezed in the playoffs. But you're going to a good organization when you want to talk about playoff teams.
All right, Ike, let's go across the division. Best AFC North offseason move. I'm going to Cincinnati. And we're talking about protecting the blind side of Kenny Pickett. But in Cincinnati, you bring over Orlando Brown Jr., who has experience protecting Patrick Mahomes' blind side, coming off a Super Bowl win. I think Cincinnati's trying to keep its Super Bowl window open. What better way to do that to protect their investment in Joe Burrow, who I think we both think is going to be like a $60 million man per year whenever he gets his new deal.
Yes.
So investing in Burrow, bringing in Orlando Brown Jr. is my offseason move, because you're protecting against the Myles Garretts of the world, the Alex Highsmiths of the world. You're protecting your investment, and that is Joe Burrow in bringing in Orlando Brown Jr. for Cincinnati.
Now, that's a heck of a move. Outside of Pittsburgh, I got to go with signing Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, and how monumental that was, not only as a black quarterback, but just signing without an agent. Letting his mom be an agent, letting his mom get that 3%. I think it wound up coming to $6 million. So here you go, Mom. Take that. Standing firm on what he believed, and he believed in himself. He bet on himself, and he did it in an unorthodox way, Mark. Especially at that position where everybody have top notch. The Lee Steinbergs of the game when it come down to that quarterback. Shout out to Lee Steinberg for coming on the show a couple of times. Superstar agent, Hall of Fame agent, we would like to say. So when you look at what Lamar has done, not only doing it by himself, taking care of his family, just really believing in himself. And I'm just glad that the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar got a job done, and they got it done right before the draft. That was perfect timing. I'm sure during this process, Mark, for Lamar Jackson, he totally understands now the business side of football, the business side. So I think outside of Pittsburgh, that was the best offseason move, signing Lamar Jackson.
And I think about it from this standpoint, right? Like, going into the draft, the Ravens had a later pick. If you don't sign Lamar and you're Baltimore, what's your plan? And that was the thing where whether it's free agency, the Ravens would have had to make a trade of some sort if
Right,
you
right.
don't re-sign Lamar. So, okay, yes, the lack of playoff success, passing in the postseason. He's still a young quarterback. Now, his effectiveness as a runner, I think, will gradually diminish as he gets closer and closer to 30 years old. But again, what's your alternative if you're the Ravens and you don't re-sign Lamar? And you could have been talking about one of the worst teams in the league. Now you re-sign Lamar, you revamp the offense and bring in an OBJ and a first-round receiver as well in the draft, and you're going to get another crack at it again, to where I expect them to be back in the playoff hunt, near the top of the AFC North division again, and he's going to get another opportunity to try to get it done when it matters come January and February, Ike. So again, if you're not going to bring back the MVP, and look, I know that injuries have been somewhat of a concern the past 2 seasons with Lamar as well. But if you don't bring back Lamar, like Tyler Huntley's your plan, or like that's a clear downgrade. So I'm with you there in the sense that, yeah, it's a premium to pay a player like that. But if you don't, your alternatives aren't going to be any better in actually trying to win a Super Bowl as well.
Former league MVP. You just don't get rid of them kind of guys.
And not to mention, I know it's not like people who know football like will be like, well, wins and losses aren't a quarterback. Winning's that's how you're judged on your success in the league, whether it's a quarterback stat or not. He has a great win-loss record. When he is playing, the Ravens are a better team. When he's not playing, the Ravens tend to lose.
All right, let's take the Ravens out of it. When he's playing, the league is better. The league is more exciting.
Yeah.
When he's playing. Other than Patrick Mahomes, he's right behind Patrick Mahomes from the time they stepped into the NFL to give their team an opportunity to make the playoffs and have a winning record. Nobody's doing it better than Lamar Jackson other than P. Holmes. So when you just look at his win-loss ratio, ain't nobody doing it better. And it's a lot of good. I mean, Joe Burrow ain't even doing it better. Wins, losses. Josh Allen ain't even doing it better. Wins, losses. Justin Herbert ain't doing better than wins, losses than Lamar Jackson. The only person you can say right now is Patrick Mahomes. But just take the Baltimore Ravens out of it. When Lamar Jackson is playing, he's just good for the league in general.
Ike, speaking of Josh Allen, we get breaking news here on Bleav in Steelers this morning. Josh Allen will be the cover athlete of Madden 24. This surprises me a little bit. I thought it might be Jalen Hurts. I thought Justin Jefferson was in the mix. I knew it wasn't going to be Mahomes because Mahomes has been on the cover multiple times in the past. Last year was John Madden in commemoration of the legendary coach. I'm a little bit surprised, but it is a quarterback league. Personally, I thought Micah Parsons could be deserving, but in a quarterback league, I can't say that I'm super surprised. I guess I just thought it might be Jalen Hurts instead of Josh Allen, but we now know who the cover athlete's going to be. We just found that out just a few minutes ago. They just revealed that, Ike.
Yeah, Josh. Josh, another one. You know, another Lamar Jackson. Like when it's just fun watching Josh Allen play because he can do a little bit of both. He can sit his butt in the pocket and throw a dart or throw a deep bomb, or if you just feel like running a DB over with, that's exactly what he's going to do. So, the league is in good hands, and to have Josh Allen on the cover, shout out to Josh Allen getting on the cover of Madden 24. You're one in a billion who can never say they was on the Madden cover. Not too many people say they can play in the league. Very few people in the world can say they ever been on the Madden cover, and Josh Allen is one of them. So you want to talk about hitting rare air? That's Josh Allen. So shout out Josh Allen for making the cover of Madden 24.
I thought Aaron Rodgers could be a possibility, Ike, and now that he's with the Jets, I thought that he's kind of like the black sheep of the NFL, if you will, Ike. I also, think about it from the Steelers standpoint. The only possibility I think would have been maybe TJ Watt, but coming off a season where he battled injuries,
Right.
TJ Watt would need to put up like a 30 piece. Now, AB has been on the cover before. Troy
Right.
was on the cover back when you were a player,
Him and
Ike.
Larry. I think it was him and Larry
That's
Fitzgerald. I think that
correct.
was a co. They two-time that, so it was him and Fitz
Mhm.
on a Madden cover. I mean, to be honest, if you want to go defense, I know you said Michael, but Sauce could have been on the cover too. If you want to throw him in the hat as well. Sauce
Mm.
going to the cornerback from the New York Jets. He just got that personality and that swag.
Yeah.
Sauce. It's just, I mean, he just dripping. He's just dripping sauce every time he walk. He leave a trail of swag sauce. So he could have been up there in that hat as well, especially on the defensive side.
We got to get Sauce maybe another year or two because coming
Mm-hmm.
off his rookie year, Ike. And that's why I thought Justin Jefferson could be a possibility because
Correct.
I think it's a possibility Jefferson goes for 2,000 yards this season. He'd be the first receiver to ever do that in a single season, Ike. So I think there's a possibility I think he's that talented as a playmaker at the receiver position for the Vikings. So that, and he's got the cool goggles that he wears as well, like pregame. There's only a handful of players that would have enough swag to do something like that. I think it's like the Spy Kids goggles he was rocking pregame
Right.
in a game before last season in the 2022 season.
Hey, them boys different, man. This young generation, man. I mean, Uncle Prime started all this jewelry, clothes, swag.
Yeah.
Uncle
Yeah.
Prime started every last bit of, but these kids take it to a whole nother level. They putting the jewelry store on in the game, whether it's a watch, whether it's chains, whether it's gold tooth, platinum teeth, whatever you want to call it, earrings. Man, they dressing to impress on the field. They're not even waiting till they go to a club. They doing that all on the field. So this generation, when you want to talk about swag, Mark, and of course, JJ Justin Jefferson, he definitely got it. He definitely got it. He got swag on and off the field. But when you got a balance like how he have, when he got more swag on the field than off, that's saying a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised either, too, that he go for 2K when it comes down to receiving
Mhm.
yards. Because last year, with the new offensive coordinator, they were just figuring out how they wanted to use them, and they used them in various ways, Mark, inside and out. This year, it's going to be even better for JJ.
Yeah, and congrats to Josh Allen in all seriousness too.
Correct.
I
Correct.
see if the Bills can get it done in the playoffs or not. And we've talked about this before. It's kind of the lack of running game that's been more of the detriment for Buffalo than,
Right.
well, clock management a few years back against the Chiefs. We don't need to relitigate all of that. Know you're getting back from South Bend, Indiana. You and your son visited Notre Dame. Congrats to Ivan Taylor getting a scholarship offer to play at Notre Dame. I'll give you the floor, Ike, in terms of whatever you want to talk about with your visit there. I saw the picture on your social media. It looked like both of you had a great time there
Yeah,
visiting
man.
Notre Dame.
Just going up there, I'm like, man, I don't feel like going to Notre Dame. Notre Dame in the middle of nowhere. I don't even know what flight to catch. Do I go to Midway or do I go to Chicago?
What did you end up doing?
So we wound up flying to Midway and
Okay.
driving to Notre Dame. And once, like, you hear all the stories about Notre Dame and the
Mm.
history behind Notre Dame, and you're like, all right, man, whatever. Until you actually get on Notre Dame Boulevard and you see that 23.9 gold plated cathedral sitting up there, and you see the trees perfectly lined up on that one little road, and that's when the history hits you. That's when you know, like, all the myth, all the hype, all the history. Yeah, it's for real. It's for real. So when you walk, Notre Dame is like a different planet, bro. It's like a different planet. Once you get on Notre Dame Boulevard and you ride into campus, you done hit a whole different world. And I've been taking trips with my son Ivan with these recruiting trips, and we hit a few Power Five schools, Mark. But it was just something about the history of Notre Dame. Um, it's something about Coach Free too. Coach Free, good dude, down to earth. I saw, and I was telling Coach Free when they hired him, I saw that video because they didn't announce to the team who they hired. And when
Mm-hmm.
Coach Free walked into their room, you can just see a huge sigh of relief from the players. Like, yes, I'm so glad y'all picked Coach Free. And that's what I told Coach Free. For me, just looking at it afar, I said, Coach Free, I knew you was the one because when you walked into their room, I just saw the players' body language. And I think they were more excited to see Coach Free than Coach Free actually knowing he was going to be the Notre Dame head coach. So when I saw that, I said he the one. And then when they start off losing their first two games
Mm-hmm.
and they wind up hitting like a 6-game win streak and wind up losing two more, but they wind up winning. I think it was a Chick-fil-A bowl game.
Yeah, it
They
was
wind up
9 and
winning.
4. Ike, I got you here. It was the Gator Bowl and the win over South Carolina. But please
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. So when I saw that, then when you sit down, we sat down, and his assistants, um, we sat down. It had to be like an hour and 15 minutes in that office, just talking. And I was very impressed. My son was very impressed. Uh, the free safety coach, the safety coach, Coach O'Leary, he took a liking to Ivan ASAP. I mean, as soon as he stepped on the field, got into the drills, he locked in, he keened on Ivan. And Ivan just felt that energy and keen right back with him. So, and you don't get to see that often. But when you listen to these stories, when you listen to the players tell their stories, uh, the players don't have dorm rooms for the players they interact with. The average kid that go to Notre Dame and going to Notre Dame, you can't be average. We talking about 4.2, 4.4 GPAs coming out of high school, and you just never know who you might run into. You might run into a hedge fund kid. You might run into John Bon Jovi's son. Um, you just
Yeah.
a Forbes 500 kid. You just never know. But all that's walking into Notre Dame. Um, that myth is for real. That vibe is for real. That spirit is for real. It's a totally different planet, Mark. It's totally different. It's unique. It's way more different than any other Power Five school. My son and I, sometimes his mom had went to. It's all the way different, Mark. You have to. It's a tour. You got to go to Notre Dame and be like, I don't care what college you went to. I went to Lafayette, Louisiana, Raging Cajun, proud alum. But me stepping onto that Notre Dame campus, you got to take a tour. Just the presence, just the feel, just to walk around, and strategically, geographically, how they built that campus. I'll let the people talk about that. It's very unique, Mark. Very unique.
This was your first time visiting, Ike?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct, correct.
Yeah.
Won't be
Well,
my last.
what was like the most impressive thing that you saw there in terms of the facilities and just everything that you took in? Obviously, meeting with Coach Freeman, taking over for Brian Kelly, who's now at LSU. But what impressed you most, Ike?
Man, that the way they built the stadium for that stadium to look at the
Yeah.
building, they got a building called Touchdown Jesus, and it's,
Yeah.
it's, it's just like the open part of that stadium when you're on the field and you look at it from the north all the way to the south. How I'm looking at this camera, and you can just see Touchdown Jesus in front of you. But strategically, is Mark. I really can't describe. The only word I can say, or a few words I can say about Notre Dame is it's unique. One, and it's on its own little planet. And when you leave Notre Dame, you feel like you leave in a different planet as well.
Well, Ike, congrats to your son,
Thank you.
Ivan, the scholarship offer. Congrats to your family as well, Ike. Certainly exciting stuff. So if you want to keep a track of Ike's endeavors, Ike, it seems like you travel quite a bit. We'll make sure we leave your social media information in the show notes. We had a few topics we couldn't get to on today's show, so we'll have to leave that again for next week, Ike. We've got a very busy offseason. We'll have guests here on Bleav in Steelers show as well. So keep it here. I want to thank the listeners and the viewers, people taking the time to watch. Please give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to your podcasts, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify. On YouTube, please tap that subscribe button as well. We're going to keep the viewers informed, entertained, and we're going to tell you what happens before it does. Ike, I think both you and I have a knack of doing that.
Yeah, 100%. One thing, everybody, for tuning in to Mark and I Bleav in Steelers podcast. Make sure y'all give us a 5-piece. That means a 5-star. Got to thank everybody behind the scenes for just rocking with us. Got to give a huge shout out to BetOnline.ag for being with us since day one. Want to thank all the viewers for tuning in whenever y'all got time and viewing Mark and I on this luxurious show that we do throughout the week.
For Ike Taylor, I'm Mark Bergin. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch Bleav in Steelers. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care. So long, everybody.
Peace.